Okay, so we all use it every day. Zero. Like, it's on our keyboards, right?
Yeah.
It's in our bank accounts. Heck, it's even how we measure temperature. But have you ever, like, really thought about what it would be like if we didn't have zero?
It's one of those things you don't think about, huh?
Exactly. And that's exactly what we're going to do in this deep dive. We're talking about the book Zero, the number that made the impossible possible.
Ooh, I love that title.
It really is. It's a good one. And I'm telling you, after reading this book, I'm never going to look at that little zero the same way again.
I can imagine. I mean, the
Oh,
story of zero, it's like wild.
totally. I mean, you start thinking about it like going way back to like the Babylonians, the ancient Egyptians, right? They were doing all this incredible stuff, mapping stars, building pyramids. But get this, they didn't even have a symbol for zero.
No zero, really.
Nope.
I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense if you think about it. Like, they were busy counting things, you know, stars, sheep, whatever.
So, like, how did they keep track of everything without having zero?
Well, they had workarounds.
Like what?
Well, the book mentions leaving blank spaces in their number systems.
Like just an empty space.
Yeah, an empty space where the zero would be. Can you imagine trying to do math like that?
Oh, my brain hurts just thinking about it. So, like, our decimal system that we use today, it seems so much, I don't know, easier.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
elegant,
Yeah.
efficient, and it's all thanks to zero. Having zero as that placeholder, it's what makes the whole thing work.
But the thing is, we didn't always have this system. Zero had to, like, fight its way into existence.
Literally, yeah.
The book talks about how around the 5th century CE, mathematicians in India started thinking about zero differently. They weren't just seeing it as a placeholder, they started seeing it as an actual number.
Which is kind of mind-blowing, right? How can nothing be a something?
It's a total head-scratcher.
Right, it's like you can't have less than 0 apples. At least that's what people thought back then.
Right, but then you have zero, and suddenly it's like this whole new way of thinking about numbers is possible.
It's like zero just blew the number line wide open. It went from a line to like infinity in both directions.
And suddenly negative numbers start making sense.
Exactly. And it's not just negative numbers. The whole concept of zero as a number, it was like this massive leap forward for mathematics, algebra, calculus, all these things that we take for granted today, they wouldn't exist without zero.
So how did this revolutionary idea, this zero, make its way from India to the rest of the world?
Well, the Islamic Golden Age played a huge role. Scholars were translating Indian texts, really diving into their mathematics. And figures like Al-Khwarizmi, they really championed this whole new system with zero in it.
And didn't we get the word algorithm from that guy?
That's right, from Al-Khwarizmi.
Yeah.
Algorithms, think about it. Computers, smartphones, the internet, all built on algorithms. And algorithms are built on zero.
So zero is like the unsung hero of the digital age.
It's pretty ironic, right? Nothing becomes everything. But it wasn't smooth sailing for zero. I mean, when this new number system with zero at its heart got to Europe, let's just say there was some pushback.
Oh, so it wasn't like everybody was immediately on board with the whole zero thing.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah.
It was actually kind of the opposite. Like some people, they were straight up afraid of zero. It messed with their whole worldview.
Really? I mean, why? It's just a number, right?
Well, yeah, to us, it's just a number. But back then,
Mm-hmm.
it was like this big, scary unknown. It represented nothingness, the void. And that was a really unsettling idea for a lot of people.
Wow. So zero was like controversial?
Totally. I mean, some folks even thought it was evil.
So what changed? How did zero go from being this feared, rejected thing to being this like essential part of, well, everything? I mean, it's crazy to think how this one little concept could cause such a stir.
But that's how powerful ideas are.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, right? Like, are there other ideas out there right now that people are resisting?
That could be game changers down the line.
Yeah, totally. And I guess that's a good thing about history, right? We can look back and learn from it.
Absolutely. And with zero, I mean, it wasn't just a philosophy thing, right? It really had a big impact on science.
Yeah, totally. And the book talks a lot about that, like with physics specifically, with the whole idea of absolute zero.
Mm.
I mean, I remember learning about this in school, like minus 273.15 degrees Celsius, the coldest possible temperature.
Where everything just stops.
Yeah, but the book says it's actually more complicated than that, right?
Right, because even at absolute zero, there's still this tiny bit of energy hanging around.
They call it 0 point energy,
That's
right?
right.
And that's where things get kind of weird.
Because even when everything should be completely still in the quantum world, things are still kind of jiggling around.
Okay, so like no matter how cold it gets, there's still this like baseline energy.
That's the idea, yeah.
So basically, there's no such thing as true nothingness, even in the coldest, emptiest parts of the universe.
It's pretty trippy, right? It all comes down to one of the big ideas in quantum mechanics. It's called Heisenberg's uncertainty principle.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
But basically what it means is you can't know both the position and the momentum of a particle at the same time.
So it's always kind of a guessing game.
In a way, yeah. And this inherent uncertainty, it leads to the existence of zero-point energy, even in a vacuum at absolute zero.
Wow, so this isn't just some theoretical thing, right? Like, zero-point energy could actually have some pretty big implications for the future.
Oh, absolutely. Like, some people think we could tap into this energy as a power source. Imagine that clean, inexhaustible energy.
And what about quantum computers?
That's another area where zero-point energy could be huge because quantum computers, they use the weirdness of the quantum world to do calculations that are just impossible for regular computers to do.
So, like, our laptops are going to look like dinosaurs compared to these quantum computers.
Pretty much, yeah.
And all thanks to zero.
In a way, yeah. It's pretty wild.
I mean, it really makes you think about all the things we take for granted, like zero. We just see it as this simple number, but it's really at the heart of so much.
Right, and the book also talks about how zero plays a role in our understanding of the cosmos, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, tell me more about that.
Well, for one thing, zero is key to understanding the Big Bang.
The beginning of the universe.
Exactly. The idea is that the universe started from an infinitely dense point, a singularity where everything was packed into a space of zero volume.
So, like, zero is where it all began.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and zero is also important when we're talking about black holes.
Oh, yeah. Those things are crazy. I always found them fascinating.
Yeah, they're pretty mind-boggling. They're regions of space-time where gravity is so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape.
Like giant cosmic vacuum cleaners.
Yeah, and at the center of a black hole, there's a singularity, a point of infinite density and zero volume, much like the singularity at the Big Bang.
So zero represents both the beginning and, in a way, the end.
It's like zero is the bookend of the universe.
And the crazy thing is, we can't really wrap our heads around either of those concepts, the Big Bang or black holes, because they both involve zero in a way that our current physics just can't fully explain.
It's like zero is pointing to the limits of our knowledge. Like there's still so much we don't know.
And it's not just about these big cosmic things, right? Like zero is important in our everyday lives too, especially when it comes to money.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, our whole financial system is built on zero. Think about it. Without zero, how would we even track our bank accounts or debts or anything?
Or like interest rates.
Right. Without zero, we'd be back to bartering.
Which I guess wouldn't be all bad, depending on what you're bartering.
True, but it would make things pretty complicated.
Yeah, I think I prefer having zero in my life.
Me too. And it's not just about money. The book also talks about how zero is crucial for all sorts of technology that we use every day, like GPS and spacecraft navigation.
I mean, it's crazy to think that something as simple as zero is responsible for making sure our GPS doesn't send us driving into a lake.
Yeah, or landing a rover on Mars.
It's like zero is the unsung hero of the modern world.
It's pretty amazing, right? And beyond all the practical stuff, zero has also been a big deal for philosophers for centuries.
Yeah, because it's like this weird paradox, right? It represents nothing, but it's also the foundation for everything.
Exactly. It makes us question what's real and what's not. Like, if there can be something that represents nothing, what does that say about existence itself?
Mind blown.
Right. And in a lot of philosophical traditions, zero represents this idea of emptiness or the void, which can be both scary and liberating.
Scary how?
Well, it reminds us that everything is temporary. You know, like our own existence is finite.
Yeah, that is kind of scary, but liberating how?
Well, because it also suggests that we have the power to create something new, to start fresh, you know, like a blank canvas.
So like zero is both the beginning and the end.
Yeah, it's like this cosmic reset button.
I like that. And it makes me think about the book's closing question, which is, if zero went from being this absent concept to being everywhere, what other nothings are out there waiting to be discovered?
I love that question. It's like a challenge to keep exploring, to keep questioning everything.
Like, what else are we missing? What other zeros are hiding in plain sight? Yeah, and it's not just about finding new things, right? It's also about looking at the things we already know in a new way.
Totally. Like what might seem like nothing today could be the key to some big breakthrough tomorrow.
And I think zero is a perfect example of that. I mean, who would have thought that this concept of nothing would end up being so important?
Right. It's like the ultimate underdog story.
Totally. And it just shows you how much our understanding of the world can change over time. Like the ancient Greeks, they couldn't even wrap their heads around zero, and now it's like the foundation of our entire technological world.
And our understanding of the universe, too.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And it's a good reminder that we should never stop questioning and exploring, like always be open to new ideas and new ways of seeing things.
Because the next big discovery could come from anywhere.
Exactly. Like it could be hiding in plain sight, disguised as something we think is totally insignificant.
Like another zero?
Maybe. Or maybe something even weirder and more unexpected.
So what do you say we challenge our listeners to go out and find those hidden zeros?
I'm in. What about you?
Absolutely. Let's do it. So to everyone listening, we want to hear from you. What nothing in your life might actually be something amazing? What ideas are you curious about? What mysteries are you trying to solve? Share your thoughts with us, because you never know, your nothing could be the next big thing. And that's it for this deep dive into the fascinating world of zero. We hope you enjoyed it and that it's given you a new appreciation for the power of nothing.
And remember, don't underestimate the power of nothing. It might just be the key to unlocking everything.